Hi, Aries. It's been a few days since I've looked at this, and sometimes it's helpful. Um, I just don't want, there's correlations in readings in every season, but I don't want anything to sound too much the same. You know what I'm saying? So, here we are. If you haven't already, you've needed to spiritually pick yourself up time and time again. This has been a very long cycle. You also may need to be very honest about what you believe and how you feel, especially if you want marriage, especially if marriage involves fulfillment for you, especially if tradition is in fulfillment for you, and the Ace of Cups, the abundance. Some of you might even experience an overflow of love and luck in your life after a long period or on and off period of feeling down, maybe even depressed. It could be a multitude of things. What the cards are here to say is that the trudge is over, but it's very important that you, Three of Wands to Three of Swords, very important that you understand what it is that you're actually needing. This Three of Wands, is it about a fresh start and a real time to overcome what has happened? And Venus will be going into Taurus on the 28th, tomorrow, so this won't come out that day, but when I'm filming this, tomorrow Venus will go into Taurus, and I think actually that makes sense then, now that I'm seeing it here. Hierophant relating to Taurus, you may feel very compelled and fulfilled, and some of you might even have, some of it might be even tears of joy. So I may be very, I'm someone who cries of tears of joy, and maybe this is what this is for you. Maybe you're seeing this huge understanding of what you've had to go through to get here, and now you're seeing kind of the consequences of each action, whether it be this or that. If that makes someone feel trapped or stuck by you wanting marriage, or you wanting some type of traditional, or you just won't, there's something you won't compromise about in order to have your abundance, and you shouldn't have to compromise. Relationships and everything take compromise, but this particular aspect, it's actually compromising you to compromise on this, if that makes sense. And so taking a look at what's beyond, what could be possible, what is important to you, what becomes even more important to you as the time rolls on. There's this very distinct understanding, and by the Gemini new moon on the 30th, it may become very clear to you. Hold on one second. Sorry. So what I would say is that you need to be willing to be very honest with yourself and with the people around you. Don't just say things just to say them, but if you're being honest and it's important, go ahead. It's really important. There's a heightened sense of self at this time. You may feel very secured and finally in yourself. Taurus season brought you into yourself and out of your head and out of what's going on around you, but really into yourself, your wants, your needs, your desires, what your desired outcomes are, what that even means for you. There's this change of heart and this very important aspect in your life that's coming into fruition. For the first few weeks, so up until the last week of May, you will have to go through many different stages, it seems, to always come back to yourself, to always come back to nurturing yourself. The moon is about going day to day, changing day to day, focusing on what each cycle needs, each day needs, because each day is technically a cycle in the very small microcosm of things. It's this alchemization that's happening here as well. You're taking what kept you stuck, or what kept you looking behind, or kept you kind of in very lack mentality. And granted, it's important to understand and see how you've came out of it. It's important to see your story and be proud of yourself and be brave. And it's important to take a look at that. though it's also important to set forth, because that's what heals all of this. That's what heals what could have been said or what had been said, and it allows you to take a look at your shadow and what's really in need of nurturance. A lot of times when we act out of certain ways, and everybody does this, is that we say things we don't mean, we do things we don't mean, because we're still healing, because that's where the universe is like trying to bring you to a certain place and trying to show you what you deserve and what's impossible for you, and you need to constantly, we all need to constantly be redirected there. And you, for someone who's so in their heart space and all the time and living out of that place, sometimes you need that reel back. But this month is not that. This month is very much communicating, being very, very, very fucking clear. But the universe, God and universe, whoever you call it, is going to be extremely clear with you as well. And what it's going to continuously reveal to you is how fortunate you are. Not just because it's the Wheel of Fortune, but it's also about these cycles, because you've come to a point where you're now so emotionally mature, so strong, that bringing this all together and making it what it is and having this one cup to offer to the world, it begins to open up to you more. It begins to open up in a physical way too. But just don't let that be your downfall. Don't let that distract you from what's important. If someone is all just glitz and glam, you need to see what's underneath it, because you've come too far to basically trash yourself to an extent, especially if you're wanting to work with other people. Other than that, there seems to be a fulfillment in whoever this is you need to communicate to, whether it's a Taurus in your life, a Cancer in your life. There's these very heartfelt creatures who give you what you need, or humans, I keep saying creatures, that give you what you need. What you're scared of is the best is yet to come, and it's important, Aries. You know how to do this, you know how to take care of yourself, but for some reason, even you sometimes don't know when you're overdoing something for others, when very Tauran like, you're sacrificing yourself. But Taurus is learning that. Taurus is coming to a place where that needs to shift and change. And for this month, for you, it's very, very apparent that your redirection also do on how receptive you are to the truth in your situations, to the truth and what you really want and what you need to move on from, to the truth in it all, the truth for you. Yes, many truths can be true at once. But if this is what you want and Taurus season showed you what you can have, you're no longer settling for any crumbs. You're no longer settling for what held you down or held that part of your life down, maybe even just your work life down. And maybe in love is always connected with money, Venus and Taurus. Once that comes in, there will be a big shift. You'll notice that shift. Then once Mercury goes direct in Taurus on the 3rd of June, after that new moon, things will start to reveal itself to you. You'll understand why you had to go through this, like what someone coined magic dark, which you had to go through this magical dark place in order to get to the other side, because you needed to believe in yourself more. So when this makes sense to me, and I'm going to explain to you. I have Aries in the 12th house, which is the very spiritual place, but it's also the hardest, quote unquote, house to conceptualize because it's ruled by Neptune. So it's very much this spiritual, yet at the same time subconscious place. There's so much more to it, but essentially this is what you're kind of being shown here almost, is that you need to believe in something more than the physical in order to really move on right now. Yes, the physical will come along with it, but just don't be trapped by it. Don't be strung out on what's supposed to happen physically, yet you don't have your values in place, you don't have certain things in place. Like, you really need to understand that is all tied up together. And by understanding that and really taking a deep look at love and why you felt stuck in your career, your creative abilities, and what all that pertained to. It's gonna hurt when you start pulling out those swords. It hurts. But the moon, feeling the lightness in the dark instead of during the day, can make it a little bit cooler. I know it's a little poetic for you, but that metaphor makes sense. You know, you're rising up to this time in your life where the dark is actually inviting, when the mystery is actually inviting, because it's inviting you to become a very powerful person in that place, you know, without holding back, continuing to reveal what good has yet to come, whether it's a love interest, because if that is, it's very fortunate for the both of you. There's a lot of abundance to come along with it. It's just important not to be wrapped up in looks or the infatuation of what something, you know, seems to be on the outside. You're closing a whole new chapter, opening another. These, on both these cards, are the fixed signs, right? We came from a fixed season, and we'll be going into a cardinal one. We won't be in another fixed season until Leo season. So this is a great opportunity for you. You have a lot of luck coming your way more than ever. There's an extreme sense of luck. I would say by the full moon in Sagittarius, you will see more of this starting to bear fruit. And you'll understand again why you kind of why you had to go through this really intense yet healing yet revealing moment in Gemini season. You're seeing the sides of yourself that are really important, or maybe the ones that are overexposed, just like Sagittarius, as interesting as that is. It's very clear. This moment is very clear. I can't get any clearer for you. It's important to let things play out. That's kind of the name of this, is letting everything play out as it is. Don't rush it. Don't try to provoke your sense of self. Just let it unfold. After everything's said and done, let it unfold. Let come out whatever's supposed to come out, because that's what's actually necessary. Especially if there's a Taurus in your life. They might agree with you completely. They might actually be in complete agreement with you and are like wondering why you're feeling so bad. And then you're like, oh, well, we wanted the same thing. Well, we need to get up out of the mud together. It's very interesting. 3 of Wands to 9 of Wands, revealing that you don't know what has yet to come. You're unsure. You can't protect everything. You can't protect everything, Aries. You gotta let things go. I mean, there's a few signs that are going through this, which isn't surprising because Cancer season's coming in. Well, you know how that can be. It can be great, or it could be very hard. And Cancer season's it's almost like this is getting you ready. If there was a Cancer in your life that broke your heart, well, I think you're being brought up to that relationship because it's revealing something extremely important for this wheel to keep going, for your work to keep going, for this initiative to keep taking place, for everything to kind of fall into place. It might seem silly, but it's true. It's what's needed, and it's what's necessary. It's what's important right now. All right, Aries? You're important. Your emotions are very important. This is a very emotive month. An emotive time. A lot to say. Whenever you say is going to be set out this month. Gemini season's going to have you all over the place, but I think you're going to enjoy it more towards the end. The beginning is more about what's really necessary, needed to be talked about it and worked through. Okay, Aries? I'll see you next month.